Hello and welcome back to the Metaverse. How would you describe For Honor's DLC character releases? Some are balanced and offer hours of fun for everyone, where they are genuinely fun for both parties to both fight against and fight as. Then you have the other half, the pure pain brigade, the ones that make you want to commit unspeakable acts on humanity, the people you know that are only being used because they are overpowered beyond measure, or because of how ridiculously easy it is to do well and frag out with. I mean, come on guys. We've all been there at least once or twice. You lose to someone who emote spams on your body, then next game you pick the most OP person available at the time, so you can smack the ever-loving shit out of them. There's no shame in it, to be honest. I know at least 300 of the people who watch this video have done it within the past 4 hours. Today we're going to go over 5 different DLC characters who on release pretty much terrorized the entire community. Before we begin, make sure to like and subscribe. We're so close to 10k, you guys are seriously awesome, and with that bullshit out of the way, let's get started. Coming in at number 5 we have the World Serpent Wannabe. On release this character was off the shits. 1 parry and 80% of your stamina was Thanos snapped to atoms. Meaning all it took was one more bash and it was pain time. 50 plus damage for basically just doing the bare minimum. Granted, looking back now she was slow and super reactable, but when you're a new character it doesn't matter how slow your attacks are, them shits will land no matter the speed. Let's get started. Coming in at number 5 we have the World Serpent Wannabe. On release this character was off the shits. 1 parry and 80% of your stamina was Thanos snapped to atoms. Meaning all it took was one more bash and it was pain time. 50 plus damage for basically just doing the bare minimum. Granted, looking back now, she was slow and super reactable, but when you're a new character it doesn't matter how slow your attacks are, them shits will land no matter the speed. The new character could have a 2-second long bash and I swear that shit will land on most people because your brain has not downloaded the character yet. That exe file will be stuck on 1% for like 3 weeks, then hopefully you'll be able to learn them for real, or you can complain that the bash is too quick to react to. Up to your at this point. If you were patient with Jorm you could basically get free hammer slams on everyone because 1 parry was basically all you needed. Could you imagine if Jorm was around when GB on parry was a thing? My god, we all would have skydived with no parachute. Next up is the anti-vaxxer. Now Warmonger alone wasn't annoying. I mean, for god's sake, she's just female Warden too, with the same mix up of 3 other characters in the roster. Let's be honest, you'll really only play her cause you're down cataclysmic and want your balls crushed by Dommy Mommy. No, what really made her cock and ball torture to deal with was her pre-nerf feats. I know you guys remember how much damage she was dealing out with that bullshit, and then we all remember when she dealt damage to you using the minions on B flag. That shit was literally overpowered. You're low health trying to get away, but the minions are all 1 IQ, so they just run forward. Now all you can do is just sit there and wait for God to claim your soul. Not to mention back then her tier 1 came back in the time it takes for the Flash to go 5 rounds in the bedroom. So the entire game your objective was to try to have some kind of fun with 4-stack Warmongers running around. The feats also did like 10 damage a second, which is super cracked. Her ability to straight up deny any area on the map made you think you were playing in a Overwatch ranked game. Now of course we can't forget our favorite horse whisperer. We all remember the original Hito, don't we? Even to this day we still crack the heavy on red joke every now and then. You literally didn't have to think with OG Hito. Anytime you saw a person attack you could just tap your heavy button and watch the magic happen. It didn't matter what you said to Hitokiri main. Their brain was already banana mode, that whatever you did would have literally zero effect on them. You can't mix up a monkey because they don't give a flying fuck about whatever mix up you do. Then there's those variable timed heavies. They basically mean parrying is a death sentence. You go for the delayed heavy and then you see that the unblockable is coming and all you can do is accept your fate. It's at that point you have to go in your fridge and drink that 2-liter bottle of dumb bitch juice you had lying around. Because as the old saying goes, yo ass just got finessed. It wouldn't be right to not have her up here. Next up we have the Taco Bell Wing Eater. Season 4 was pretty much one of the only times I've ever seen it be socially acceptable to be toxic. Anyone seen using Shaman was basically guaranteed a hate message. I know the OGs remember people were basically shaming Spliced for using Shaman. Looking back though, people were off some shit for that character. Most of it was not warranted in the slightest. I mean, she did have some busted shit, don't get me wrong. Hyper armored neck bite 450 damage will always be a certified hood classic. Number 2 is everyone's favorite spaghetti maker. I've already made a video going in depth on why this dude was literally the most overpowered hero For Honor will hopefully ever make. Go watch it if you want a more in-depth look on that fucking monstrosity. Shameless plug aside, Centurion was literally a fucking fuck to deal with on release. With the wall infinite, and the cutscene combo off basically any parry, if this dude parried a light you may as well have a moment of silence for half your health bar. Granted, offensively he was not so good with that dumbass quick throw from light mechanic, which to this day I still don't understand what the point of that was. Guard breaks from neutral will always be reactable. Using this character basically meant a free win if you knew how to parry. Everything back then was slow as shit. So basically any attack was straight up free bans. You kind of have to respect Ubisoft for releasing this character like this. What game does this shit? They out here releasing characters that can just hit you with that 1-2 Centurion curfew. And the number 1 most hated person has to be the pro vaxxer Griffin. Let's be honest, it was obvious he'd be number 1. The amount of blind rage this dude stirred up in people was so insane. If you used this man you were basically seen as being worse than Satan himself. A lot of people could not handle this man. No one even wanted to entertain the idea of learning how to fight him. We all just ran to Reddit and demanded Griffin be nerfed or they'd pull on Ubisoft and do this to them.
Fight back! Fight back! Fight back!
The most known video of whatever the fuck OG Griffin was has to be through John Daylier. After amassing nearly 365,000 viewers on YouTube. This basically solidified it in people's minds that this character was autoplay. Once people saw that shit, it was basically the beginning of the end for Griffin. Anytime anyone tried to defend him they'd just whip that video out like some golden trap card. Hell, even now most people still won't let go of the Griffin hatred. It doesn't matter the poll. If the question has anything remotely to do with who was the most OP or most hated, Griffin will always win. And just like Orochi's work, there was a small community of people that argued that neither was overpowered, that they weren't as broken as the community was making them seem. But as usual, it didn't matter what they said, Ubisoft took Griffin out back and gave my boy the old Yella treatment, and to this day Griffin is either seen as dog water or just a literal monkey-brained character. I've already said my stance on how the community overreacts way too quickly to a character's status in the meta. It takes literal months to find out if someone is OP or not in most games. And just like Orochi's work, there was a small community of people that argued that neither was overpowered, that they weren't as broken as the community was making them seem. But as usual, it didn't matter what they said, Ubisoft took Griffin out back and gave my boy the old Yella treatment, and to this day Griffin is either seen as dog water or just a literal monkey-brained character. I've already said my stance on how the community overreacts way too quickly to a character's status in the meta. I mean, come on. It takes literal months to find out if someone is OP or not in most games. So explain to me, why would For Honor be any different? There are plenty more fucked on characters. But I don't think anyone is more hated than these 5 on-release characters. If these 5 all assembled, the world would end. I swear to God, these 5 would basically be the Dark Avengers type shit. Everybody would be chucking their consoles out the window and setting fire to the fucking streets. Comment down below who your most hated character in For Honor is. Make sure to like and subscribe or else Ubi will make the next character break your will to live. And until next time.